I get it when you're eyeballing a gaming laptop. The biggest fear is ending up with a machine that looks impressive on paper but turns out to be a disappointment on the desk. You've probably spent hours scrolling through spec sheets, watching best laptop videos, and wondering whether that extra $200 for a higher-end model will actually translate into smoother frames or a cooler ride during those marathon sessions. The last thing you want is to drop a solid chunk of cash on a laptop that can't keep up with the games you love, or that becomes a hassle to carry around because it's too bulky or noisy. If you're still on the fence about the Lenovo LOQ 15.6-inch, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break this down from a real-world perspective, not just a list of numbers. First off, the LOQ is built around the AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS. That chip sits in the sweet spot for laptops that need to juggle both gaming and multitasking. Think streaming your gameplay, running background voice chat apps, and maybe even having a web browser with a few tabs open. In practice, it means you'll see solid frame rates in titles like Valorant or Fortnite, where the CPU isn't the bottleneck, while the RTX 4050 GPU handles the heavy lifting for more demanding games such as Elden Ring or Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p. The combination isn't going to push ultra-high settings at 144 Hz in every game, but you'll comfortably sit around 6080 frames per second on high-medium settings, which is more than enough for a fluid experience on a 15.6-inch display. Speaking of the display, the LOQ's 19201080 panel refreshes at 144 Hz. That's a clear upgrade over the standard 60 Hz screens you see on many budget laptops, and it makes a noticeable difference when you're swinging a mouse quickly in fast-paced shooters. The colors are bright enough for a decent HDR-like punch, and the high refresh rate reduces motion blur, so you'll actually feel the "Stay Icy, Game Spicy" tagline when the action spikes. In everyday use, the screen holds up well for non-gaming tasks too, editing photos, watching movies, or just browsing the web. The only caveat is that the panel isn't a true HDR panel, so you won't get the deep blacks you'd find on a more premium device, but for the price it's a pragmatic trade-off. Cooling is where the LOQ tries to differentiate itself. Lenovo has packaged an advanced cooling technology that includes dual fans and multiple heat pipes. In real-world testing, the laptop stays warm but not blistering after an hour of continuous gaming at medium settings. The fans become audible, but they're not shrill. You'll hear a steady hum that's typical for most gaming rigs. If you plan to game in a quiet room or use headphones, the fan noise shouldn't be a showstopper. However, if your primary concern is a whisper-quiet environment for late-night streaming, you might still notice a bit of a hum, something to keep in mind before you hit buy. Now, let's talk storage and memory. The LOQ ships with a whopping 32 GB of DDR5 RAM and a 1 TB solid-state drive. That's a lot of headroom for future-proofing. The large RAM pool means you can run modern games while having multiple applications open without the dreaded slowdown. The 1 TB SSD, while not the fastest NVMe tier on the market, is still swift enough to load games in seconds and handle large libraries without you constantly worrying about space. You'll also appreciate the quick boot times of Windows 11 Home, which is already optimized for gaming performance. Ports are another practical area where the LOQ does well. You get a variety of USB-C and USB-A connections, a HDMI 2.1 output, and a headphone/mic combo jack. This means you can plug in your favorite mechanical keyboard, a separate mouse, a monitor for dual-screen setups, and even a VR headset without needing a dongle. The HDMI port supports the 144 Hz refresh at 1080p, so you can hook the laptop up to a larger TV or a dedicated gaming monitor for that extra visual real estate. The only downside is the lack of an Ethernet port, so if you're on a wired network for the lowest latency, you'll need a USB-C to RJ45 adapter. Who should consider this machine? If you're a gamer who wants a portable device that can handle today's AAA titles at respectable settings, stream while you play, and still be usable for content creation or schoolwork, the LOQ hits a sweet spot. The 15.6-inch chassis is compact enough to toss into a backpack, yet large enough to give you a comfortable workspace without needing an external monitor all the time. The combination of Ryzen 7 and RTX 4050 ensures you won't be left behind as games evolve over the next couple of years. Plus, the 32GB RAM means you won't outgrow it quickly, making it a decent investment for a broader set of tasks beyond gaming. On the flip side, this isn't the right choice if you're chasing ultra-high settings at 144Hz or you're a competitive esports player who demands every frame.